Hello, everybody. This is my 8th review of films to come out in 2025. Today I'm talking about Companion, written and directed by Drew Hancock. I was very surprised to find out this movie wasn't written or directed by a woman. But anyways, would I recommend Companion? Not strongly. It was good, but I've definitely seen other movies this year which I preferred. If you like Jack Quaid like I do, then you'll probably really enjoy this movie because he's really funny in it. He's probably my favorite part of the movie. In general, this movie has some really good comedy in it. I really enjoyed the performances. There's one joke that involves computer processing that made me laugh really hard. It's easily the funniest moment in a movie I've seen this year. But basically, my main takeaway from Companion is that the comedy elements I felt were pretty strong, but the horror and dramatic elements I didn't feel were as strong. The movie kind of has like a Black Mirror sci-fi horror concept, which I think I'll have to spoil to talk about this movie much because they pretty much introduce it right away. So if you want to go into this movie blind, walk away from the video right now. But if you're okay with some spoilers or you've seen the movie already, there's a reveal pretty early on that the main character is basically a sex robot. And I think they do some fun things with this concept, but I wish that they made it an even more horrific part of the movie because I feel like this concept is really horrific and dehumanizing and is getting at these like feminist points, but the movie doesn't, I feel like, get there. It's not that horrific itself, and so I feel like maybe the concept and the kind of tone of the movie didn't really fit completely. The movie also doesn't feel like it's really questioning in like a philosophical way of like, how would this work in reality? Again, that's not really the point of this movie. It's going for the comedy thing, but those are the kind of movies I generally am looking for. There's a scene where a character named Kat, who felt very underdeveloped. Maybe she was a bigger part of the original script or like an older edit of the movie. She felt underdeveloped. Something felt like it was cut out. But she says a line in the movie that's essentially like, why do you even care about her? She's just a piece of plastic. And in my head, whenever characters in movies say stuff like this, I'm like, no person in the real world would say that. Like, or at least very few, because I feel like we as human beings love to empathize and personify just about anything. Like, we'll treat stuffed animals or toys like there are people, just because they kind of resemble people. So when you come to like a robot who's pretty clearly sentient and also looks exactly like a human being, I feel like people would be more empathetic to her. It's why I love movies like Her so much, because I feel like they're really questioning how would this concept work in the real world. And that movie essentially has the same concept, but it does it in a completely different way that I just really prefer. The characters in general are just kind of cartoony, which can have its fun. There's a guy in this movie, the actor's name is Harvey Guillén, I think, but he is really fun. I really enjoyed his performance a lot. But this also leads to frustrating moments. There's a scene where Jack Quaid basically explains what's going on to the main character for no reason. Like, he explains, like, you're a robot, and you're this, and this is how I got you. And it feels so pointless for him to say that. But then when you account the fact that he apparently has also given her, like, more violent tendencies and more self-defense tendencies, it just felt like nonsense. Like, why on earth would your character be motivated to say these things? And then he like leaves the room for 5 minutes. It's like, dude, what were you thinking? There's also a scene where a cop shows up that was a little funny to me, but I kind of didn't get it. Like, the main character walks out of her car covered in blood, and he like doesn't react or reacts very casually. Maybe they were just going for like a funny scene, but it didn't really work for me or make that much sense. There's a concept in the movie where you can decide how intelligent the robot character is, so she makes herself super smart at one point in the movie. That doesn't really seem to make that much of a difference. There's another scene where Jack Quaid makes her as dumb as possible, which kind of just makes her act like speechless. Like, she can't talk, but it still kind of feels like her brain is still in there. I felt like that could have been a really great horrific moment, and I felt that like the making herself really intelligent could have been like a fun plot device, but it just doesn't feel like it was used to its potential. Cinematography and the direction is very average. The sound design is weirdly terrible. Like, it was so bad and unrealistic that I was kind of wondering if it was intentionally bad and unrealistic. I have no idea what was going on there. Still, though, the movie is never boring. I like the performances a lot. There's some great costumes, there's some cool effects, but it's just not exactly what I'm looking for in terms of a take on this concept. Like I said, Her is one of my favorite movies, and I was thinking about that movie a lot. It just tackles this in a much more thought out and complex way. And but still, Companion is not a pretentious movie. It knows what it is. I feel like it knows that its comedy is the strongest part of it. Out of all the movies I've seen that I feel like were written by someone who is just broken up with, this is easily the best. This is so much better than, like, Don't Worry Darling, which it was also reminding me a lot of. But anyways, I would give Companion a 3 out of 5 stars. Overall, it was still fun. It was still enjoyable. Tomorrow I will post a review for Paddington 3, Paddington in Peru, so subscribe to stay tuned for that. In the description, I will put a link to my Letterboxd list of all the movies I've seen of 2025. Here is the ranking so far. There should also be a link to the YouTube playlist of all my 2025 film reviews, so you can find that in the description. You can also find it in my channel page. You can also find it to your right. I said left yesterday. Sorry about that. Thank you for watching. Comments and likes are very much appreciated. That's all I have to say. See ya.